Time to take your wealth to the next level. Welcome to Learn Wealthy, your go-to channel for real estate insights, market charts, and golden opportunity. Let's build wealth together.
This video is not a financial advice. We are not attorneys, CPAs, or financial advisors. This video is made for entertainment purposes only, so do not take them as financial advice. We do not know your personal specific financial situation. We suggest you seek an actual financial advisor for real financial advice. Thank you.
What's up, Learn Wealthy community? This is James Santiago, and it's past 9 p.m. and I'm actually about to sleep, but I just want to get my last thoughts of the day. I just want to share and a few articles that I found online that may be related to our base case of a recession, and maybe look for things that may challenge our base case. It's always good to be humble and have humility on your conviction, and know that we're only playing probabilities, that that no one's sure of what's gonna happen. Like 2020 was clearly a recession right here, but let me zoom in on that. That's 2020 recession, this gray bar. It's a super short recession, only January 2020 to March 2020, so a 3-month recession, and that inversion is really small and was quickly resolved with everything that the government did, and the cutting rates to zero, mortgage interest rates was like 2%, and all the eviction and moratoriums, and the people getting saved from being foreclosed, and PPP loans and stimulus money everywhere. And as a registered nurse, as a travel nurse at that time, they raid money on everybody. So this recession is really cut short, but then again we ended up with a crazy inflation of 9% after. So our base case right now, if you've been watching this channel, my base case is that we're having a recession due to two very accurate indicators. The Salm rule is one. When this hits 0.5%, right? This is 0, this is 1. When this hits 0.5%, we're always inside a gray bar, which is the recession, right? And we just hit 0.5% last Friday. And so you can argue that we're basically in a recession right now, because this Salm rule is pretty much 100% accurate since like 1960. So see, whenever it's 0.5%, we're inside a gray bar, a recession. Right there, we're inside a recession. So that's one thing. And then the other powerful indicator that we're following is basically the long-term and long end and short end treasury. In this case, it's the 2-year and 10-year. The short end is the 2-year, long end is the 10-year. So as you can see, whenever there's an inversion right here, when this blue like squiggly line go below the black line, the straight black line, that's an inversion. And just when it uninverts back after a few months, we get a recession. And this is also pretty much as accurate as the Salm rule through history, right? Even if this Federal Reserve charts only ended at 1976, if I can research a chart that would go beyond that, it would still, the yield curve would still prove to be accurate. And there's a lot of people who are saying the yield curve is wrong at this time. It's different this time, and I don't want to be on that side I don't want to be on that side because we're just playing probabilities here. I don't want to be on that side where it's all percentage game, and the yield curve percentage wise is 100% accurate throughout history. And also, does it mean that we have a recession like in 2020? Does it mean that the house market is going to crash, right? It can be like, you know, they cut rates by 2%, but they cut the Fed funds rate, and then the make the mortgage rates like 2%, and maybe we'll have more inventory because people who are locked up in their houses right now could trigger, like, they've been wanting to sell but they don't want to sell because they're locked at 2%, and that's like an asset to them. So maybe they'll be encouraged to sell once if we actually bring it down to 2%. So maybe it'll be a different effect this time, or maybe a lot of people will also buy it and bump up the price of the house. So we don't actually know, and we don't actually know what everyone's gonna do that much. That's why it's important in investing to understand more what the psychology of the majority is gonna do instead of what you're gonna do personally, you know. We also don't know what the government's gonna do, if they're gonna shower more people, if this massive inversion right here that we're in right now, which is nearly uninverting. Look how close the yields on the 2-year and 10-year treasury are. If you could go into CNBC website, let me go to markets. Look at that. 2-year treasury, the yield is 3.957. The 10-year treasury is 3.924. It's pretty much on that brink of being uninverted. See how close we are? And you know, the yield curve, right? It's very, very accurate. When it uninverts back, when this blue line goes above the black line again, we always get a recession, you know. So we'll see what happens. How the Federal Reserves, how the government is going to react. Some stimmies right there, fiscal policy, some PPP loans, and something like that. We can argue that 2023 March, you know, it's when it was almost uninverting too right here, right? It was almost uninverting, see? Right here. March 2023, right here. It's actually at the bottom, but we can argue that the recession could have been starting right there, right? Because that's when all the banks started to collapse. The Silicon Valley, the First Republic, all those banks started collapsing, and then the government started that BTFP, the Bank Term Funding Program, that will lend to these banks with pretty much that would cost nothing, basically to bail them out. So arguably, if without the BTFP, we would have been in a recession by now. But so we'll see what happens. Usually a recession happens on the uninversion of the yield curve, right? We'll see what happens when it finally uninverts. See if we get that recession, and see how that recession will actually be like. I believe not all recessions, the stock market is hit equally. Not all recessions, the bond market is hit equally, and not all recession, the real estate market is hit equally. The last recession that we had that pretty much real estate was hit was 2008, because that 2020 virus recession that we had, real estate actually went up instead of So always play devil's advocate on yourself, and doubt yourself, so you can like be more inspired to gather more data and be humble, you know, that you could be wrong and that you're only playing probabilities. So even if we do have a recession right here when it uninverts, it doesn't mean that real estate is going to crash, right? It could go up more. So yeah, just you gotta consider everything. You gotta consider what's happening in the Airbnb right now. Look at the Airbnb. The bottom. it's the second place on the bottom movers. Airbnb is like down by 13.38%. So that Airbnb business, for all you know, I owned and ran 2 Airbnbs and 2 of my single family home rental properties back in 2021, and I closed them after a year of operation, when I was like nearly like trying to observe the market and finding out that this is not going to be as profitable. And a good thing I listened to people like Robert Kiyosaki and Ken McElroy, that when I made my single family homes Airbnbs, I made sure that they were cash flowing as a long-term rental first, you know, because Airbnb is like almost like a running or short-term rental is almost a speculation back then, and it's not as tested as running a long-term rental business, you know. So I was able to easily, not that easy, but you know, I had to sell furnitures. I was kind of easily able to convert my Airbnbs back into long-term rentals. So that also the commercial real estate right now, if I don't have any articles at the moment open, but yeah, the pretty much the commercial real estate has been experiencing trouble since they increased that interest rate, because the Fed recently did one of the fastest increase in real estate that they could do to fight that inflation. So that may be a catalyst as a reason that the real estate market will crash after in case a recession, when this yield curve uninverts. But yeah, there's a lot of factors that can happen, but we'll see. Migration is coming in, a lot of migration coming in right now on the border, right? And real estate is a people business, and usually the more population you have, the more the values of real estate go up, because people will need housing, both rent and buy. So, but it's not like all these people coming in the borders can be approved for not only a mortgage but for rent. I don't, you know, because as a landlord, I am very, you know, I'm very diligent with background check and credit scores and all that. I don't need a perfect credit score as you know, otherwise if these people have perfect credit score, they'd rather buy, and you're not gonna have any tenant, you know. So I don't need a perfect credit score, but I at least have a standard that I'm following to make sure that at least my tenant has a high probability of paying. So we'll see what happens. I believe we're in a standoff. Like Jim Cramer was just saying, there's no more recession. You know, like he's screaming like he always does, and it is always exaggerating things. It's always like 100% sure, but we're not gonna be like that. We're gonna be humble, and we're gonna see that there's a lot more data that we can, you know, just I know, like I don't a lot of people don't want to go there, but just World War III happening. I mean, we already have 2 crazy wars right now, I believe we're like just a World War III happening. That's already like pretty much 100% recession already, and I don't think it's gonna be a good recession. Like, it's gonna have like housing and stock market crash if the recession is from that. But you know, the 10-year treasury, the treasury is for sure seeing a contagion, a lot of risk in the system. That's why it's inverted. So yep. Before I end this video, like, we'll just kind of go with me and subscribe and hit the bell notification button so we can go together and observing future events and what's gonna what's going to happen with this yield curve inversion and the recession that it is predicting in the very near future. And hopefully with all the data that we'll gather together in this Learn Wealthy community, that we will be able to position ourselves better in real estate, in stocks, in gold and silver, and whatever you're investing in. And I hope you picked up something today, and I'll see you in the next video. Good night.